Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Vibe with Nine. If this is your first time here, welcome. Go ahead. You are back, and you know we like that. I love you the most. Right into the contents, okay? So let's talk about the current events, everything that's been happening in the past week, because things are happening. California, anybody? Like, did y'all catch that, or did it fly right over y'all heads? Let me know. My heart goes out to anyone that was injured, hurt in that whole situation. Hopefully everyone made it out safely and moving along. I don't know if anyone noticed the funkiness with the weather as well. The weather has been weathering. It's snowing in Atlanta. It was 50 degrees today here. What's going on? What's tea? Do y'all recall me saying, I used to post this years and years ago. I used to always say that Earth is naturally a warm climate. Like, trauma. This winter stuff? What is it? Like, everybody be talking about trauma, or I got trauma. We all know what it is, really. It's basically, it can be physical, it can be mental, it could be emotional. It's basically a period of time or an event. That's what I got for that. Stimulus that causes long-term stress. Okay, and it can be something that happened one time in life, or it could be something that keeps reoccurring. Because what tends to happen is, once we get in a trauma cycle or a cycle of trauma, we tend to relive it until we are able to learn certain patterns and habits and be able to really grow out and through the trauma, as opposed to living in it. And it's so important that we do that. Some examples of trauma would be like, domestic violence, relationships, of course, child abuse, SA, things like car accidents, motor vehicle accidents, even just for kids being raised in a chaotic environment. People don't realize how traumatizing that is. Being imposed with like limiting beliefs, narcissistic dynamics. Those often do lead to long-term emotional and mental distress, which is why it's so important that we are tuned into ourselves as much as we are tuned into everything around us. Okay? Now, will I say everyone has experienced trauma? Maybe, because there are certain degrees to trauma. And the way one thing might affect someone else, it could totally tear someone else apart, which is why it's so important that we're mindful of like how we're dealing with each other on a whole. And these are things that it takes time to like mentally grasp, and it takes like years of lessons and actually being more self-aware of the energy you put out, because as they say, what you put out is what you receive. The things and the way like we go about identifying trauma would, to me, the quickest way to identify a trauma, catch it, are your triggers. Triggers are those things that set off your fight or flight system, your emotional distress system. those things that irk you, those things that like, ugh, like what she's talking about, dumb things, those are your triggers, baby. And until you get those under control, we we end up repeating a cycle, a constant cycle, because what we have to realize is that it's not so much what is going on around us, it's more so what's going on inside of us, because at the end of the day, everything here is energy. This is an energetic plane. We are energetic beings, so therefore whatever we put out is what we receive. And the more we work on these things that cannot be taken away from us, like, yeah, it's great to grow, build, have a nice house, have a nice car, have 8 cars, have the rings, the watches, all of that, the bling, and go ahead and where you want type vibes. Like, it's all nice to have all of that, but you see what's happening. A lot of people, they get these things, but they still do not manage the concept of self-growth. And in all actuality, through self-growth and being more aware of our traumas and triggers and how to work through them, it essentially brings back that empathy and compassion that's lacking right now in common society. Like, a lot of people are separated, they're divided at odds. Everybody want to have a one up. Like, it never gave that. That's not what we were put here for. Like, so everyone needs to kind of hone in on themselves. And some people are already doing this. Some people been doing this. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all for real. Because not for nothing, your journey is your journey. Someone else's journey is theirs. You would never be able to walk a mile in nobody else's shoes, because if you could, then you would have been in them. And that's why I am so comfortable, and I encourage everyone around me to be comfortable with walking in their own lane. Stop pocket watching. Stop watching what he, she, it said, because in the beginning of the day, the only people that truly care are the people that are compassionate and empathetic towards you. Clock it. I feel like a major thing that is like overlooked in a lot of things is the fact that your trauma inevitably leads you to your purpose. And I'm not here to glorify trauma like, oh, trauma is something to have, because baby, you don't want it. You don't want it. If you ain't never have it, stay away from it, run, feel me? But essentially what trauma is in the spiritual realm is really like, it can be a catalyst. Traumatic events and experiences often lead to the discovery of alchemy. And what alchemy is the transmutation of energy. So basically turning the negatives into positives. And you do this so much to the point that you really grow to realize that essentially there is no negative and there is no positive. So I'll go around like positive vibes, good vibes. There is no positive and there is no negative. All there is energy and what you make of it. That's it. Everything else is based on our programming, like our trauma, our triggers, how we grew up. It's a nature versus nurture type thing. Think of it like that. We were taught that. But now it's time for us to nurture ourselves correctly. And that is through taking care of our temples. Like, these are our temples. In the book, the temple is not the building that they said it was. This is a theory. It's a theory, okay? I'm theorizing here, okay? Temple is your body, okay? Treat it good, eat well, move it, take care of it. Your mental, emotional regulation, we're going to dive into that in another video. I feel like that's going to be the next topic. because the amount of dysregulation that I see going on out here, ooh, baby, I just want to give y'all all a hug. And I know I can be dysregulated at times too, because don't even get me too overwhelmed. I'm still trying to manage it, but I see it a lot when you're dysregulated. It's like word vomit of the brain, and we gonna get that under control. So as always, thank you for stopping by and vibing with Nye. Like, okay, because one thing about it, we gonna do a little key and we gonna get to the business, the things people need to know. All right. Thank y'all for stopping by. I don't want to make these videos run too long, because I don't y'all want to hear me rambling. Keep the vibes high. Be mindful of your mind, and most importantly, be well. Thanks for vibing with Nye, and as always, like, comment, subscribe.